Good morning, my friends. Before I say anything else, just pause for a second. Notice the breath going in and out of your lungs. Notice the fact that your heart, without your permission, has been working tirelessly since before the day you were born. You are alive. That alone is a miracle, and a good enough reason to rise with a little more courage today. I want to talk to you this morning not like a lecturer, not like some guru with all the answers, but like a fellow traveler who has seen both shadows and sunlight. I want to tell you stories, because stories stick deeper than instructions. And maybe, in these stories, you'll find yourself, your struggles, and your possibilities. Let me start with something personal. There was a time in my life where mornings weren't hopeful. They were heavy. I would wake up and feel like the world was pressing on my chest before I even left my bed. The alarm clock wasn't an invitation to a new day. It was a reminder of obligations, expectations, and disappointments stacked up like bills on a counter. Maybe you've had mornings like that, or maybe you're in the middle of them right now. But here's what I learned, slowly, painfully, one day at a time. Mornings are not just about sunlight. They are about choice. Every single morning, no matter what's going on, we are given this gift, the choice to move forward, the choice to rewrite the story, the choice to stand back up after falling. And standing back up, that's where the magic begins. There's this old story of a farmer who lost his horse. His neighbors said, "Oh, what bad luck." The farmer just shrugged and said, "Maybe." The next day, the horse returned, bringing with it 3 wild horses. The neighbors said, "Wow, what good luck." The farmer shrugged again, "Maybe." Then, his son tried to ride one of the wild horses, fell, and broke his leg. The neighbors gasped, "Oh, what bad luck." The farmer said, "Maybe." The week after, soldiers came through the village to draft every able-bodied young man for war. The farmer's son, with his broken leg, was spared. Good luck. Bad luck. Who knows? The point is this. Life will throw you things that seem like curses and things that seem like blessings, but sometimes they swap costumes. The morning is your chance to not label the day before it begins. The morning is where you say, "No matter what comes my way, I get to choose how I show up." Let me ask you something. Do you remember learning to ride a bike? Maybe you had training wheels, maybe not. But almost all of us had the same ritual. Wobble, wobble, crash. Knees scraped, palms stinging. And then, we got back on. Nobody judged us for falling off a bike. It was expected. But somewhere along the way, as adults, we start thinking falling means we're not good enough. That's a lie. Falling is not failure. It's proof you're in motion. The only failure is refusing to get back on. Your mornings are like that bike. Some days you'll wobble. Some days you'll scrape your spirit against the pavement. But if you wake up, take a breath, and get back on, that's victory. I once met a man named Luis who worked as a janitor in a school. Every morning, he'd arrive before the teachers, before the students, and walk through those empty hallways whistling. I asked him one day, "Why do you always seem so happy at this hour?" He looked at me, shrugged, and said, "Every morning, I remind myself, today I get to make this place a little brighter than yesterday." That's enough for me. That stuck with me. He wasn't waiting for a promotion or recognition. He wasn't waiting for conditions to be perfect. His motivation was built in the morning, not on circumstances, but on choice. On a reason he decided was worth waking up for. And you know what? That's available to you too. Now let's talk about energy. I don't just mean the coffee and sugar kind of energy. I mean the fire inside. The one that dims when we're stressed, or when we lose sight of our why. You know what fans that fire? Gratitude. And I don't mean the shallow version of gratitude where we just say, "I'm thankful for food, water, and shelter," and move on. I mean the kind of gratitude that you feel in your bones when you realize how easily things could be different. This morning, look around. Look at the people you love, or even the strangers walking past. Realize that each one of them has their own battles, and yet here they are, showing up. Realize that someone, somewhere, would trade everything they have to stand where you are right now, with your challenges, with your chances, with your choices. Gratitude transforms mornings into miracles. But let me be clear, motivation isn't about denying the hard stuff. It's not about pretending everything is fine. It's about finding the strength to keep going even when things aren't fine. One of the bravest things you can do is admit, "This is hard, but I'm still going to try." Take Thomas Edison, for example. The man failed thousands of times trying to invent the light bulb. Thousands. Imagine waking up on failure number 1245 and saying, "All right, let's do it again." What kept him going? The vision of what could be. Motivation grows when you plant it in the soil of purpose. So ask yourself, what's my light bulb? What's that one thing I want to keep showing up for, no matter how many times I fall flat? Let that vision be the fuel for your mornings. Now, let's get personal again. There was a woman I knew named Maya. She had gone through unimaginable losses. Her parents passed when she was young. She worked 3 jobs to keep her siblings fed, and for years she thought her life was just about survival. But one morning, she decided to do something different. Instead of jumping straight into her routine, she sat down and wrote one line in a notebook. "Today, I will look for one small joy." It started with little things: a cup of tea, a smile from a stranger, the way sunlight touched the window. And over time, those little joys began stacking up into something bigger. Her mornings stopped being just about surviving and started being about noticing. That notebook became her lifeline. Years later, she told me, "Those mornings saved me." And maybe that's the lesson here. You don't need to wake up with a master plan for conquering the world. Sometimes, it's enough to wake up with the intention to notice one good thing. The rest builds from there. I'll tell you another story. There's a village in Japan where people live some of the longest, healthiest lives on Earth. And when researchers asked them why, they found this idea called ikigai. It means a reason to wake up in the morning. For some, it was gardening. For others, it was teaching. For others still, it was simply caring for their family. Notice something? It wasn't money or fame or power. It was purpose. Find your ikigai, and mornings become more than hours on a clock. They become invitations to live. But let me shift gears for a moment. Motivation also comes from struggle. Think about a butterfly trying to escape its cocoon. It thrashes, it wrestles, it strains. And from the outside, you might think, why doesn't someone help it? Why not cut the cocoon open? But if you do that, the butterfly will never fly. Because it's in the struggle that its wings grow strong enough to lift it. Your mornings may sometimes feel like cocoons, tight, heavy, uncomfortable. But every time you push through, every time you struggle a little to rise, you're strengthening wings you don't even realize you're growing. And what about fear? Fear is a morning visitor for many of us. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. But let me remind you, fear is not the enemy. Fear is a compass. It often points directly to the thing most worth doing. If it didn't matter, you wouldn't be afraid of it. I once heard someone say, "Do it afraid." And I think that's some of the best advice for mornings. Don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait to feel fearless. Step out with shaky hands and a racing heart. Because action doesn't follow confidence. Confidence follows action. So here's what I want you to remember when you wake up tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. You don't need to have it all figured out. Just take one step. You don't need to feel amazing. Just show up. You don't need to conquer the whole mountain. Just climb today's hill. And slowly, those little steps stack into miles. Those little mornings build into years. And before you know it, you've created a life worth being proud of. Now let's get real. Some mornings will knock you down. Some mornings will test every ounce of patience, resilience, and willpower you've got. But guess what? You've survived 100% of your worst days already. You're stronger than you give yourself credit for. You're braver than you think. And you are capable of starting again as many times as it takes. Because mornings are not just about sunrise. They are about resurrection. Every day is a chance to rise again. So as you step into today, here's my challenge for you. Don't just wake up. Wake up on purpose. Don't just open your eyes. Open your heart. Don't just survive, live. Write down one reason you're glad to be alive today. Take one small action toward your dream. Speak one kind word to someone who needs it. And remind yourself, this morning is not an accident. It's an opportunity. Friends, life is short. Time moves fast. The days will blur if you let them. But if you wake up with intention, with courage, with gratitude, your mornings will become the most powerful part of your story. So let's make today count. Let's rise, stumble, laugh, cry, and try again. Let's live a life that, when the night comes, we can look back on and say, yes, I showed up. Because that's all any of us can do. Show up. And when you show up, truly show up, the world changes, even if only a little. And that little matters. Good morning. Go write your story.